Hi, I'm Pete, and welcome to Just a Few Acres Farm. Today I'm going to talk about the number one question I get via email and YouTube comments, and that is how to find, buy, and evaluate Dexter cattle. And I'm going to do that from the standpoint of beef production, which is the business that we're in, not from milk production or show cattle. I have my own set of criteria that I use to evaluate Dexter cattle, and it probably varies from what experts will tell you and what other Dexter owners will tell you, because one thing about the Dexter breed is their owners absolutely love their animals and they get very opinionated about what they look for, and that's just fine with me. I'm just going to tell you what I look for, so stay tuned. Me and Sammy sure would like it if you subscribe to our channel, right, Sammy? It's really easy to do. Just hit the button down at the corner of the video and you'll be notified of all of our new Dexter videos and our other farm life and how-to videos. Thank you. We chose to assemble our herd from multiple sources. We started with a few animals from a local farm, and we knew the owners and we knew they did a good job raising animals. Next we went to a large Dexter farm that's actually one of the original U.S. herds, about 4 hours west from us. The cows want to mess with the camera. And we bought some cow-calf pairs from them. Next, when we were looking for bulls, we found another farm that raises Dexters for dairy, who's very hands-on, and that was an important thing to us as far as getting bulls. We wanted bulls that were not aggressive and used to people. So we bought a couple bulls from them. So now we have 3 sources. The last source is probably a poor decision on my part, and it's illustrative of what not to do when you buy a Dexter. We bought a couple heifers from a farm a couple towns over, and all my alarm bells went off when we bought these Dexters. The farm was poorly kept. There wasn't a lot of pasture. The bull looked terrible. He had chondrodysplasia. He was sway-backed. He wasn't taken care of well. And I regretted buying those 2 heifers. We still have them here, but probably they're going to become culls eventually. The first thing you want to look for if you're considering purchasing a Dexter is whether they're registered. A Dexter without a registration is just another cow. You have no assurance that it's actually a pure-blood Dexter. People may say that it costs too much to get them registered, but geez, it's only $50, and it's your way of knowing. The second thing you need to look for when considering purchasing Dexter cattle is, have they been genetically tested? And if the animal is ADCA, or American Dexter Cattle Association registered, then it has been genetically tested. It's a prerequisite. The thing we look for the most in genetic testing is whether chondrodysplasia or dwarfism is present. We want to breed this out of our herd, and we don't have any animals that exhibit chondrodysplasia. But some breeders choose to breed for it. We just don't. Do some research on the farm that you're thinking about buying from and find out whether they have a good reputation. And when you visit that farm, take a look around and ask yourself, is this farm kept neatly? Do they take good care of the animals? I look for breed confirmation per the original Dexter description, which you can find on the Dexter Cattle Association's website. I look for black, dun, or red animals, solid color. There can be a little white around the bag or on the underside of the bull, very small. I look for horned cattle, not polled. That's the original description. Look at the height of the cattle. We raise toward the large end of the Dexter breed. Our cattle come up to no further than about here on me, which is the bottom of my rib cage. Some people raise smaller Dexters, but we choose to raise toward the larger end. Assess the animal's temperament. Will it come up to you? Can you lay your hands on it without running away? Is it aggressive? If you have a small herd, those are big things when you're out working in the field with them every day. And usually animals that are this way, like Titus our bull here, are this way because they were raised by hands-on owners. Sometimes you'll run into herds where the owners are very hands-off and the animals just roam around in the field all summer and they're pretty wild. That's not something we want in our herd. Here's an example of temperament. This is Prudence, one of the cows we got from the Chautauqua herd out west. And the reason that we decided to purchase her was because out of 100 cows in the pasture, she's the one that chose to walk up to me and give me a sniff. And I knew right then that she was the one for us. Thank you, Prudence. Hey, buddy. When you get into cattle breeding, one of the first words you run into is conformation. Conformation is a word that breeders use to describe a set of physical characteristics to judge an animal. They have to do with frame structure, how the cow stands, how it walks, its proportions. And it's a good idea for you to Google that phrase, and you'll find all kinds of resources. What I'm doing is running you through the way that I judge cattle conformation in plain language terms. One of the things you want to look for is the shape of the animal's spine. This is one of this year's calves. And you can see the animal holds its spine straight. There's not a sway in the back. The neck comes out straight to hold the head. That's a sign of good frame to me, and that calf will grow well and fill out well. Look for animals that stand straight on their pins. Pins is just another word for legs. So you'll see how they come straight down from the frame. That's a good posture. You also want to look at how the animal walks. Does it have a limp? Does it have an even gait? Does it favor one foot? Does it have a nice even stride? Mature steers and bulls should have nice hindquarters, well muscled, well filled out. That's not something you'll see in an animal till it reaches maturity and its frame fills out. But in a mature bull like Titus, it's nice to see a nice hindquarter that he's standing straight on with his pins or his hind legs. They should have nice thick coats, no bare spots. They should look shiny and healthy. Mama cows should be round, especially if they're carrying their calves big like they are this time of year. They should have intelligent looking eyes, curious looking eyes, bright eyes. Be aware of what's going on around them. You can assess how much fat a cow is carrying by looking at the base of the tail and also by looking at the brisket. If the base of the tail has fat around both sides of it, that's a sign that that animal has been storing up energy and accumulated some fat. It's similar for the brisket. If the brisket looks filled out and there's no loose skin around the brisket, that's where the animal's going to store some fat. The amount of fat that a cow is carrying is an important thing. If a breeding cow becomes too fat, or too lean on the other hand, it can affect her breeding capacity in terms of how regularly she cycles. If you look at the animal's line from its spine and the diagonal line from its rear ribs, you shouldn't see a hollow spot in that triangle where the two meet. That means that the animal is well fed. In addition, you shouldn't see the lines of any ribs underneath the coat. If you're looking at smaller animals, calves, yearlings, heifers, look at the frame. Does the frame provide good bones for the animal growing out? Hux here has a really nice frame, straight back, straight legs. It just looks like he can grow out to be a very nice steer. They should have even, quiet breath, no sign of a rasp or pneumonia. They shouldn't sound winded. Just a nice, even breathing pattern. Mama cows should have a nice, moderately sized bag with 4 equally sized teats for good calf rearing. The animals should have a calm disposition around people. Not run away, not act too aggressive. This guy here is just chewing his cud as I stand next to him talking with this weird tripod in the pasture, and it doesn't faze him. That kind of calmness is what we look for in animals. They should have a regal looking attitude about them. I mean, you see these guys standing here and they're just confident. They have good posture. They stand well. Regalness is a tough thing to describe, but when you see it in an animal, you know it. Dexter experts who know a whole lot more about the history of the breed than I do will also look at the lineage of the animal. That is, its parentage going back 5-6 generations. I don't do that as much, mainly because I'm not an expert in the particular animals that were there generations ago. I look at the animal that's standing in front of me and assess it on its own merits. Now that I've given you some tips on what to look for in Dexter cattle, the next question is, How do you go out and find sources of stock? Well, you can look on Craigslist, but I've found it's like the Wild West out there. People advertise all kinds of things that are or not necessarily true about what they're selling. One of the better ways that I've found is to talk to local farmers. If you have any local farmers that raise Dexters, that's your best bet. But other farmers that raise beef as well may know of local herds, and then you can start your search from there. The last good way to locate animals is to contact your local American Dexter Cattle Association director. These directors cover about 5 state areas all over the country, and they know what's going on in their region and can direct you to possible sources for animals. What can you expect to pay for a quality animal? In our area, a cow with a calf at her side, and hopefully the cow's bred as well, goes for around $1,500–1,600. A bottle calf, that is one that hasn't been weaned yet and you're going to have to finish on the bottle, about $300. A yearling or a young heifer, probably $500 to $800. This is for quality registered stock. So hopefully this gives you a way to get started as far as knowing what to look for and where to find Dexter cattle. My last advice is don't overthink this. The only way you're going to become familiar with looking for traits of good animals versus average or poor animals is by being around them a lot. Go ahead and make the leap. Make your first purchase. Then you'll become familiar with the breed and know better what to look for. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope you have a great day, and I'll see you next time.